climbing habit. In this training, we will focus on how to maintain a plant with a climbing habit. A plant with a climbing habit is one that is typically low-spreading, but is permitted rather than trained to grow up the sides of structures such as walls and fences. A climbing habit does not refer to a particular plant species, and in fact any plant species can be trained to climb. However, in this training we're going to limit our discussion to plants that climb naturally, and we'll cover plants that are trained to climb in the espalier segment of our training video. Some of the most common climbing growth habits include twiners, vines, and lianas, stem or leaf tendril climbers, plants that climb by using aerial rootlets, and ramblers which climb by using some type of hook. In this training video, we're only going to focus on plants that climb by using aerial rootlets. At BYU, we currently maintain two different styles of plants that climb by using aerial rootlets. That style is determined on a case-by-case basis by the landscape architect. But in either case, and like we discussed in the general pruning training, the following guidelines apply to the low-spreading portion of the plant. We allow plants such as English ivy to spread horizontally and fill the space they've been designed to fill. At the same time, we do not allow them to grow out of bounds and overrun things like other plants, fire hydrants, valve indicators, floodlights, landscaping rocks, etc. When plants need to be reduced, we use natural target pruning to help maintain a more healthy natural appearance and to help slow down the growth rate of the plant. This is particularly true at the edges of the space the plant was intended to occupy. And like we talked about in the general pruning training, we thin out the older, thicker stems and also bevel and vary the lengths of the stems at the edges of the plant bed. The following guidelines apply to the climbing portion of the plant. We allow plants such as English ivy to grow vertically and fill the space they've been designed to fill. At the same time, we've been asked to control the size of the plant to help maintain accessibility around things like utility boxes and electric meters, and visibility when it comes to things like windows and lettering. That said, we want the climbing portion of the plant to fill the space it was designed to fill, grow into within 6 inches of the edges of things like utility boxes, electric meters, windows, and lettering. Moreover, and like we talked about in the general pruning segment of our training video, our current grounds director prefers that we maintain larger background plants at either 1/3 or 2/3 the height of the adjacent building for artistic reasons. And for ease of maintenance, we typically choose to maintain our plants at no taller than 1/3 the height of the adjacent building. Style number 1. Collective mass. In this instance, individual plant stems are permitted to grow together and appear as a single plant. We'll still control the height and stagger the pieces at the edges of the space the plant was intended to occupy, but we'll allow the individual plant stems to grow together and appear as a collective mass. Style number 2, individual stems. In this instance, all of the bullet points we mentioned in style number 1 still apply. But with style number 2, we distinguish individual plant stems by creating more space between stems. And we continue to separate those stems all the way back to a side branch if possible. This is the end of the climbing habit segment of our training video. We realize that when it comes to maintaining plants with a climbing habit, there's a lot of room for personal preference, but we hope that this training will give you a better idea of how we prune plants with a climbing habit at BYU.